My name is Jonathan Nicoletti. I'm the founder and principal developer at Acolyte Applications, where we build compassionate technology for nonprofits and educators. To age myself a little, I did start in FileMaker Pro 13, where we did have an advanced version of things. We could do things so much more powerfully. And also there was still a script maker area instead of the script workspace. So it was all point and click for picking your script steps. I know some of you may remember those days. But in our first 7 years of existence at Acolyte, we have helped nonprofits save over 1.75 million in developer discounts, as well as another 30K or so in some hosting credits through AWS grants. Since this is an add-on presentation, I thought I would do a quick get to know you on some real-world add-ons that I love. Some people say the best pizza is cheese pizza. I say that's nonsense. The best pizza is one with toppings. So I love to pile mine high with as many as I can. I'm also an avid drinker of tea. I have like over 80 flavors, so you'll find me drinking that and even bringing my own on a trip like this. And then lastly, generically, as everyone has fallen in love with podcasts, I'm always listening to something in my ears when I'm folding laundry or doing anything for that matter, even programming sometimes. So as we start, the first part of this will involve defining add-ons. This has been a session built to really start from scratch. So if you have no experience with add-ons at all, we're going to kind of look at the basics of them and then work through more advanced engagement, exploring those that have been created and installing them. But in order to define them, there is a very important question we have to start with. I'm enlisting some help from Vine user Brandon Moore, aka Young Busco. If you don't know what Vine is, forget about it. If you do know what Vine is, you know what this Vine is, and you can help me with this part. So I just have one question for y'all, and it is, what are those? So anyone who's used add-ons to this point, you're familiar with this little plug-in icon when you create your add-on. It's a little disorienting, so I thought let's start with talking about what they actually are. That little plugin icon is a simple XML package that automatically implements some native FileMaker components into the target application. So those components being, the scripts, the layouts, the fields, all the things that you create in that add-on process. And then that is .fm add-on is the ZAR compression of the folder right next to it. So here we have an add-on that is easily named add-on, and we see the folder that's created as well as the ZAR compression of that. ZAR, it just means that it's an extensible archive of that. It's built to be dynamic as a compression type. And then another important component of add-ons is where they are located on your drive. This is something that I do have bookmarked in my Finder and find it really useful to just kind of have on hand as you're creating or installing these. I can often forget where these are, so these are littered throughout the community in various blog posts, so it should be pretty easy to find if you can't locate it, but here listed. And then as I said at the top, believe it or not, this was introduced in FileMaker 19 in May of 2020, so it is a feature that has been out for quite some time. There's been a good amount of development when it was first introduced, and things are a little bit slowing down. There's some improvements that would be highly welcome on this, but I do think in its current iteration, there's a lot that you can still do with it. And I also would venture to say anything that we demo today in this, as we keep stepping through, it is possible to do in FileMaker today, and it has some version longevity as long as you stay above FileMaker 19. So just a little touch point there. As importantly, to say what add-ons are not, they are not plugins, so a little bit of a misnomer to have the ZAR compression have the plugin icon, but it's important to say they do not extend the functionality of your Claris FileMaker Pro application or the server. Similar or common plugins that a lot of developers use might be Monkey Bread or Base Elements. Those plugins actually extend the capability of FileMaker regardless of what FMP12 file you're working on. In this case, add-ons, really, they just work within the file that you've installed them on, and they're not extending that actual desktop applications capabilities, just your built applications capabilities. The second one here is more of a personal caveat that add-ons are really not best suited to be standalone applications. It probably wouldn't make sense to take your whole application and turn it into an add-on and then pull it into another application. It will store all of your data that's in that application and a number of other things that it just really doesn't make sense. The idea is that this is adding just some small amount of functionality or a module that you're pulling into your existing applications to extend the capabilities there. And then usually, add-ons are not an additional day of expert level Claris training, but as you've seen in the schedule, that is what we have on Thursday. So just a little shout out. If you've been on the edge about deciding whether or not you want to stick around for one of those, we have a number of options listed here, and you can scan the QR code to jump in. You can still register for that. So I just wanted to give a call out to that while you're still, perusing these sessions and thinking, oh man, I want to touch up on my server skills or any of these skills. You're still able to do that as you attend the conference. So if you need to change your flight, you've got a matter of hours to maybe do that, but you have at least a day to register for this. So moving on to creating, there is just a 5-step process that I am proposing for creating your add-ons in the most simple way forward. If you follow this 5-step procedure, your apps, they will be lighter, they will be cleaner, and all your other apps will start to be jealous of them. So they'll ask for you to add them into them. So with the first one, we'll go ahead and walk through these as a conversation, and then we're actually going to step into a live demo of creating these. So for those of you who'd like to join along, you're welcome to. It should be simple enough. First, you want to start with a fresh FileMaker file. This is important so that file that you're going to create an add-on will have a unique UUID. This unique ID can also be reset in the security settings. That is important so that when you actually save it as an add-on package, it will save it as a unique add-on package and not overwrite an existing add-on if you happen to be doing that. If you want that to be the case, then of course you can do that, but most times you're creating a brand new add-on, we want to go ahead and make sure we start with a fresh ID. Next, you'll want to name the primary layout. Here is the name for that, and you can see at the end there is a trailing ISO language code, which can be replaced with any of those. That can be found. You can just do a quick search for those, and it will support those multiple languages. And then third, you can, this is the part that you know what to do the best, more than me. It's creating the content, what the add-on is actually going to do, and the behaviors that are going to be built in. So that's your scripts, your layouts, any fields, or any of the components within FileMaker that are going to pass through to your add-on that you're going to have be modular. Next, this is optional if there is a drag and drop component. A lot of add-ons have an initial button that you can drag onto the field, or even a chart or a web viewer is what you may have seen in a lot of common built-in instances. Those objects, they need to be grouped on this primary layout that we've named in step 2. And those objects can have some additional tags added to them. The first is actually the instance tag. So each drag and drop is an instance of that add-on that's being brought into that target solution. when you pull that in, this little string of text, it'll actually convert to its own unique UUID every time you drag and drop. That way you don't have an issue of object names being the same and having a conflict of any of the scripting that relies on those object names. The second tag is a primary key tag, and this is not actually the primary key, but it's the primary key field of the target layout table occurrence that you pull this into. So whatever, say you're pulling it onto a contacts layout that is based on your contacts table, if you have an ID field in there that is your primary key field, that is the field that will show up in this, and then you can use the function evaluate to actually evaluate what that field is and then get your primary key. So you can kind of program with some contingency when you're building your add-on to get that key when you need to use it. In our demo, we will not look at that one, but we will use the first tag. And then lastly, the easiest step is to save a copy as an add-on package. So with those 5 steps, you should be able to walk right into creating your add-on and then having something that you can modular add to whatever applications you might be working on and whatever applications your clients are asking you to work on. As we move now into a demo for actually creating the add-on, first starting with a story. So unfortunately, things at Acolyte have gotten a little rocky. We've started producing more and more bugs in our code, and our clients are noticing. And so what they're doing is they're emailing us, they're texting us, they're even calling me and leaving me tons of voicemails. So we need to create some sort of system to collect these bugs where it's not blowing up my phone anymore, and it's in a place where we can easily move it to work. So what we're going to do today, we're going to build an add-on that I'm calling the Bug Buster, and that's going to help us collect these bugs in all the applications that we work on for our clients in one singular place, and then we can prioritize the work on the other side once we have those collected. So first, opening up your version of FileMaker Pro, you're just going to click to create a blank file. Like I said, we want a new file here, and I'm going to go ahead and name that file Bug Buster because that's the one we're working on. In this case, I don't really need any tables and fields other than the ones that are auto-generated. So I'm going to go ahead and commit that and then move to creating our initial layout. So again, we do need to follow our steps. So I'm going to get us those instructions up here just so everyone can follow along. And if your memory is better than mine, you may already know these, but mine is failing me at certain times, so I like to keep this around so I kind of follow these things in order. So here we've started with our fresh FileMaker file. We're all set there. The next step is to name our primary layout. So instead of Bug Buster, we're going to change it to our add-on template directives and go ahead and save that change. And then next, we're creating the content. In this case, we're just going to create a single button, which is going to be our bug button. And I'm going to add a nice little bug icon to indicate that. And we're going to change our size here so it's a little bit more friendly for wherever we might pull this in. And just make this a little bit louder here so we can see it. Kind of looks like Spider-Man, which is pretty awesome in my opinion. And we'll then go on and create our new card window here, which we are also going to name Bug Buster. We'll have that be a web viewer. In this case, we have built a Claris Studio form for this very purpose. This Studio form will allow us to collect those bugs as our users encounter them, and they'll actually be able to provide us more detail and even give us a few, 6,000 screenshots if they desire so. And then I'm just kind of framing up this layout here and getting these things set. All right, so there's our target layout that we're going to want to open in a card window. Again, this is going to be the simplest of add-ons in that they're not going to be a full litany of components that you would normally see in an add-on. And we're going to go ahead and keep all that stuff the same. So, all right. So steps 1 through 3 are pretty much all set. There's one additional one that I like to call out, which is if you set the icon in the file options before you do save your file, that is the icon that will be used for your add-on. There's also some additional settings that we'll get to later here. Oh, I just have an SVG of it, but as you know, we'll just kind of change this to something, I don't know, to signify it. We'll just keep it as FileMaker because I know it's different than the other add-ons I have installed. So, but that is one thing that you can set, and it will change once you go ahead and save it. So next, we're going to prepare our objects for save. So step 4 there, we do need to name or group, and then also add a name to that group. For this technique, oftentimes I see, especially if it's just a single button, there's like some text kind of explaining like click me or something to get that group. I typically just ditch the text entirely. So I've got my instructions here that I like to group with whatever my button is or the object I do desire. And then I go ahead and actually click into that group and I delete the text. And you can see FileMaker preserves the group, but then it's just a group of a single object. So there you've avoided having additional objects in your add-on component that you're going to drag and drop, but you still have the ability to then name it. So I'm going to type this just out so everyone can see it a little bit easier. Here is what our name of that object is going to be. So it is just bug buster, and then we see that instance tag that's going to give us a unique UUID for this particular object as we pull it onto each layout. So there we have the content. Step 3 is all done. Step 4 is all done. We've prepared our objects. Lastly, the simplest step, in my opinion, is just creating a save button and a save script step to save this as an add-on package. And so here we'll just use the current window name, and that's gonna be the case. Get window name. That's going to be the case. Even if you don't put that in, it will just use the current window name. I like to do that to be thorough, to ensure that I get the right name for my add-on. And then we are going to want to keep those replace UUIDs on. That way it does create a brand new add-on. We don't have any overlap with any existing add-ons. So with this, what we'll do then is we'll hit create. And this is a handy moment because it will go ahead and open up that add-on in your add-ons folder, which you'll be able to locate any of your other add-ons as well as the one you just created, which has that folder as well as the ZAR compression of that, showing that plugin icon. Both of those generated just through that one script step. And at this point, I love to always just drag. You can see here I've pulled the add-on modules over. If you're heavily active working with these add-ons, it's really handy to have those just like right at your fingertips so you can jump in and out. So now we're going to jump into one of our clients' files here, just a sample file where we can now begin to implement this. So now in our target file, the file that we actually want to apply this so our users can start reporting those bugs, we'll go ahead and navigate to the add-ons panel on the left-hand side, and you'll see at the bottom there is a little plus button. We'll go ahead and click that, and what you'll see is a dialog of all the add-ons that are installed, either custom that you've brought into the file or some built-in ones that already exist. And you can see as we scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's our bug buster, as well as a couple others. And this is a bug I am aware of as of I think FileMaker 21. When you do click on the initial click, it will accept a couple of these. So you just kind of have to click around until it stops doing that. So a little bit of an annoying thing, but in previous versions, it wasn't something that I ever ran into. So we'll go ahead and choose the one we want to pull in. You'll see on the right-hand side, there's a missing description, as well as who created it is just defaulting to Claris. But it does list the tables and layouts that are in that add-on automatically. We'll talk about ways to edit, though, where that stuff is located as we keep moving along and actually move into some of the community tools that we have to edit those things. So we'll go ahead and click choose, and we will see that add-on is now in our add-ons panel. And so it's there as a package that is completely installed from a schema standpoint. So that one move, it pulls all your tables, your scripts, your fields, everything comes in, table occurrences and relationships. Those are all pull in just from that one installation. And really all you're doing when you drag and drop that particular add-on is you're just installing the instance or application of that add-on, which is whatever that grouped object that you made in step 4. So there, the rest, as we will see here, just navigating to our tables, we'll see Bug Buster, and there's our fields. Those have all been created. We'll see a Bug Buster created in our table occurrences. That's going to be there regardless of if you drag and drop this stuff out. And it shows up in the same exact location of where it was in your add-on. So something to keep in mind that when you jump into your table occurrence graph, for instance, you're just going to see this perhaps in a random location, or hey, what's that? It's likely that you installed an add-on and those just kind of fit wherever available space was. So just something to look out for when you do install these. And now that we have this in here, we are going to navigate to a couple of layouts just to demonstrate how that drag and drop works. So here, pulling our add-on out. Oops. There we go. And we're going to see here in this name, I'm going to go ahead and paste this out and make it a little bit bigger so everybody can see it. Here, you can see it did automatically change that to a unique instance ID. And if we navigate back to our dashboard where we did our first application of this and paste that, we'll see that one is the FA. And here, pasting this one out for legibility, we have the DFF for our first instance. So you'll see every time you drag and drop that, it's going to have a unique ID because of that tag we added in step 4. So now with this installed, we'll call it quits for today and say, go ahead and give this a run, see how it works, see if our studio form lines up, see our put in one issue in particular that we're getting is that FM is super hot when it's running. In this case, we have, a description that I can't remember my quick key for, so I'll just move on to picking what's happening to that particular computer. And it does, okay, this had to open at the same time. So there's a live look at their computer. Their FileMaker just runs super hot when it's going, and so we'll go ahead and submit that. We'll see Studio accept that. So now we're getting the welcome screen, and we can just close out and keep moving, and hopefully not run into any more bugs along the way. So with that, you've created an add-on that you can then deploy to as many applications as you want. Of course, this is the simplest example of an installation for an add-on. You can make it more complex. You might want to use a different URL for each installation, so that could actually be a field that's in that Bug Buster table that then has a configuration screen where you could put in a unique URL just for this one implementation. So instead of loading our current Bug Buster URL that we saw here, we might want to load a different one, or even pass a client name into it so it auto-populates a field with that, so then you're able on the other side to aggregate more of this information where it comes from. So the last step, which is moving kind of beyond creating, which is uninstalling, we'll see here back on our add-ons panel. If you right-click an existing panel, you have two options here. You can rename the add-on, which I've never done that. And I'm not sure I would recommend it if it's not one you haven't created. But it is an option there that you're welcome to try out on your own sometime. But the one that is of more importance is the uninstall add-on. In this case, we've built a use case where this really only serves a purpose for our clients. So now we have another step to add to our offboarding. When a client, unfortunately, there's been too many bugs, they no longer want to work with us. They no longer want to see this red faux Spider-Man button. So they're going to say, go ahead and take this out. One of the beauties of this uninstall feature is that it will pull out all of the tables and components of this solution, as well as every single application for it. So we're going to go ahead and hit uninstall there. And as we navigate back into browse mode, we'll navigate also to our dashboard, and we'll see that Bug Buster button has now been removed, not just from the original layout that we uninstalled, but also the secondary layout here where we installed it. So although there's just one install or one uninstall, it will pull out as many applications as you might have performed there. So with that, we'll jump back into our slides here and jump along to some caveats and tips. So as with anything, there are a couple important notes to make known, as well as some things to avoid and some gotchas that are in there. The first two are just like what's in and what's out. What's in are really a lot of stuff. So this is where the power of add-ons is really compelling, is that pretty much anything, any sort of FileMaker component you can think of is included. So custom functions, fields, scripts, all of the good stuff that we spend most of our days working on, that's all actually included. The what's out is mostly security related and file level settings. And that's something I'm grateful for, because it does, it prevents entirely the ability to inject FileMaker accounts into another file. You don't have to worry about, if I install this add-on, is somebody going to be able to hack into my file or something, have some kind of Trojan horse situation. And thankfully, that is not the case with all those features staying out of it. Another gotcha one to remember is the visibility settings for scripts and layouts are retained. So in our case, we just had one additional layout. We didn't have any scripts, but in both the scripts workspace as well as the layout dialog, you've probably noticed a little checkbox right next to those. If you check that box, it will show in those respective dropdowns. If you uncheck it, they will not. You will just want to make sure whatever add-on you're creating, that those have been checked or unchecked, so your layouts either show up or they don't show up, however you expect that add-on to work. And then next, as we saw, once you have installed that add-on in the add-ons panel, all the schema, scripts, layouts, all that stuff is injected in that one very moment. So you have all that stuff brought in immediately, but then you are able to apply or have instances of the add-on object as many times as you like. So in this case, in our Bug Buster, we're going to throw that on every layout where our clients are using the system. And thankfully, the next step, when it's time to offboard that client, we were able to uninstall that, and it will remove not just all those features, all those components that are included, but it will also remove all the applications of that install. This last one is a little bit more advanced, and maybe a beginner developer might not have ran into this particular issue, but it is the lack of an upgrade feature for add-ons. So currently right now, if there's a new version of an add-on that's been created, the only thing you can do is uninstall, like we did, our Bug Buster file, and then reinstall Bug Buster, version 2, where maybe we can specify that URL. The unfortunate aspect of that is it pulls out all of the applications of that add-on, and then you will have to go do that again. So one way to avoid having to do all that rework in its current iteration is to actually use a combination of perform script by name if you're running a particular script, or in this case, going to a layout, you could go to the layout by name and use a custom function to actually specify what that name is. And that will allow you to survive the new version as long as the developer of that add-on hasn't changed the names of those things. So it's not a proper solution to the lack of an upgrade. I'm hoping and hopeful that Claris will work towards creating an upgrade ability for this so that they can actually corral all of the components that are on the old version of that add-on and then pull those in. So those are the caveats and tips for creating. So on to our last part, and hopefully the most exciting, at least most exciting for me, which is exploring. The real benefit of using FileMaker is that it is a low-code environment and that we can deliver value to our clients really quickly. And add-ons provide a unique touch point in not just for our clients, but also in the community for us to provide tools that are easily accessible and then easily deployable into like any application. And so in a lot of ways, I feel like add-ons are really the heartbeat of what Claris is about in creating code that's highly scalable and deliverable without much of a heavy lift and burden on us as developers. So getting into exploring, it's good to know where these add-ons are in the community and where we can find them. The first and foremost, is the Claris Marketplace. Here there are a litany of these. If you haven't had a chance to look through these, you can pull up this library, and there are some which are as new as this last month. This particular one I didn't get a chance to look at, but as you click into each of these, you will see some detail about them. So it's kind of a nice way to preview them in full before you go ahead and say, like, yeah, I'm going to pull this in. They do here vary from free 99 to more than that. So it really just depends on the developer and the provider in these cases. But one thing you can count on in the Claris Marketplace is that Claris has vetted all of these as are created by Claris partners. So they should all be fairly trusted add-ons and functional add-ons that you can count on working in your solution. Next is a tool called the Wolfpack Add-on Manager, and our very own in the audience today, Christian Olsen, is the creator of that. I've been talking with Christian for a number of years about this and just creating add-ons, and mostly him hounding me to provide him some. So some of the add-ons we'll look at today that I specifically created, those will be able to be found in this add-on manager, which you can download. Once you have that downloaded, then it will be similar to the marketplace in the sense that it is essentially just a library of those various add-ons. You can see more details of those particular add-ons. Some of the descriptions will say are varying in terms of their length and detail. So you'll just have to work through those kind of with a little bit more curiosity. In addition, it's a kind of a space for non-partners to provide an add-on. So if you do start creating your own add-ons, this could be a place where you could actually see your add-ons shared with the community where you could get those out. So here are a number of the ones that we're sharing today. And if you do get to the recordings, these will all be included in the session materials. So if you're like, I don't want to download Wolfpack, I'm never going to do that, that's fine. Just download the session materials from today. These are kind of just like a goodie bag of add-ons that have helped us over the years, and we'll get into demoing a couple of them as we go. But I just want to call out the send via Gmail because I know I probably won't get to that one. As you know, OAuth or send email through SMTP is slowly getting phased out, and so you need a way to integrate with maybe a Google account quickly. There's step-by-step instructions on how to actually set that up for your targeted Google account that you want to send emails from, and then it's just a few copies and pastes, and then all of a sudden you have the ability to just send email via Gmail using a script, which I do recommend using indirection for because we'll keep it working. Yes, go ahead in the back.
So you have the option to do it through Gmail. Is there a script for sending it through Outlook, Microsoft Outlook through a web browser?
So
now we have our phone set up to send emails through the Microsoft app.
okay.
USB is going to phase that out.
Yes.
We've been trying to figure out how to get it to do it through the Microsoft web browser version.
Yeah, okay.
I was wondering if there was a script for that because we're kind of stumbling through that right now.
Okay, yeah, it's a good question. So the question is, rather than Gmail, is there something out there for Microsoft 365 access? There isn't just a particular script to replace the existing one, and that's part of the reason for this add-on, that it's no longer just like a singular script that's going to replace your send via SMTP. You actually have to create a whole like API connection and authentication flow for it to work. I am currently working on an add-on to make that process for Office 365 faster. I've installed it for a client, and they're already using it, sending emails automatically through their server, for instance. Whether or not it would work on the web is probably just a question of compatibility. I think it would all the same. But yeah, keep an eye on things. Keep an eye on Wolfpack. And I'll try to get that over to Christian before the end of time. Getting back to our presentation, where else we can find these. So that's the Wolfpack. Let me back up just really quick, because one other thing about Wolfpack that's great is, and I alluded to it earlier, is that it does allow you to configure a lot of the details that actually end up in your add-on dialog when you go to add a new add-on. So this is our choice place for actually creating our final install of our add-ons. While we're just working through all the bugs and stuff, we'll just kind of create it the way we did in that initial demo. But all you need to do is drag that add-on here into the package, and there's a little hidden feature here where you can go into dark mode by clicking on the wolf, and once you have selected your add-on, you can export that add-on, and then it will save that ZAR compression of the file as well as the folder with all the details that you've added to it. So, URL, the author, title, as well as a category, version, and description and features. So it's just really a handy way to create them. So well done, Christian. If everybody wants to give him a round of applause, I would be delighted. So thank you for your work on that. I just wanted to call that out. I think it has made my life tremendously easier. So and next, probably the one I should have started with is, sorry, go ahead. No, I'm trying to think. I don't think so. Yeah. So the question, have I built any add-ons that have built on other add-ons? You could. Yeah. Yeah. So you certainly can. I would be nervous to do it, but yeah, you could do it. I just don't know what happened during install and creation. I've never done it, so this is a good question. But getting to the next area, which is maybe the first place most people encounter it by clicking on that add-ons panel and the plus button, are all the built-in add-ons that actually don't exist in that add-on modules folder. They're just shipped with FileMaker once you install it. You'll see there are additional tables in there, like related tables that you can add to your file. That's something we didn't touch on about add-ons, is that you can actually automate relationships through them. So you can create an add-on of a related table that will automatically create a relationship from your current layout table occurrence to the new add-on table that you've created. I didn't get into it because it is highly technical, and I wanted to spend more time like looking at just other add-ons. But additionally, it is another area that I think could use a few more features. There's a few bugs that are in there. So sorry, Claris, I just keep punching away. But alas, here we are. Next, for some areas that maybe the add-ons don't make it to the marketplace or Wolfpack, a lot of Claris partners and consultants have great repositories on their website, either just in a random blog somewhere, or they may actually have a dedicated add-ons place on their website. In this case, there are 3 that do. So it's just kind of keep your eyes open on the community, follow the blogs of your favorite firms to see what they're doing. And then lastly, and most importantly, because this being an old feature, one of the things I found in the research of really exploring all of these different places is like your apps are still the best place for these add-ons. They just haven't been created yet. So there really is a significant need to like kind of shake off the dust of this feature and really get our hands dirty with it and start creating add-ons from our code. And that'll benefit both our clients directly and indirectly. Directly would be actually adding a feature like emailing through Office 365. They're immediately going to feel those benefits because they're going to be able to keep doing that. Indirectly would be some code that you find yourself copying and pasting from one system you're working on to the other. But the issue is you always copy and paste it in the wrong order, or it's just off by a few script steps or something. In this case, if you've packaged that code into an add-on, in this case, you'll be able to pull that in, and maybe there's a few script steps or some configuration you need to do, but it'll help you get started right away and be able to build stuff for your clients faster. Indirectly, they'll benefit from getting their apps quicker, and you'll have less of a headache. Go ahead.
So do you not recommend that you store like a database of bugs in the tables of the add-on?
Yeah, it depends. I would say no, though. The hard part, at least if there's no versioning happening, it's fine. But if you anticipate any sort of versioning, which I think can probably be considered like most likely with add-ons, like you're going to iterate it a little bit. That's what we do. Every time you uninstall and reinstall, it doesn't just remove the tables and all that. It also pulls all the data out. So all your data, you either would need to create some sort of extraction capability first, uninstall, and then you'll reinstall a new version and then import that data back in. That's a little hairy. In this case, I just wanted to show off Studio a little bit. So in that case, I kind of sent the data somewhere else so it would persist.
Do you have to be careful about naming the tables so that they don't interfere with the tables of where you're installing them out?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that goes for any component. I'm not repeating the questions well, sorry, Connor. But the question is, should you be careful with naming of the components in your add-on? And the answer is kind of. I typically like to add just some sort of abbreviation to the beginning of custom functions or scripts. So that way it's easy to find all of them. Of course, I put those in folders, but until we saw this morning, we didn't have folders as an option in custom functions. Now that is, maybe it doesn't matter so much. But for the exact reason that you said, to avoid any naming issues with your components, yeah, it's good to have some sort of custom abbreviation so it's not going to produce any conflicts where you're going to have custom function is the name of it, and then custom function 2 when you do your install, because it's the same name as whatever the original was. So yeah, great question. All right, so with that, do you guys want to see some cool add-ons getting pulled in and stuff? Okay, cool. Let's do it. So I am using another one of Richard Carlton's files for looking at these demos. In this case, there's a neat feature in FM Starting Point, which you can also download a free version, right? Okay, yeah. On their website, just kind of follow the same links to get the Wolfpack, and you'll find your way there. But it allows you to create a bunch of sample data. So in this case, that's what I've done here. And we've installed this for a client, and they've actually asked for a different list view. They're really much better with faces rather than names. So what they would like is to just completely ditch this text-based list view, and they want to see a face-first list view. So we're going to employ some add-ons to help. We're going to go ahead and just start deleting a couple things that we don't need here. And most of the content of our body we'll take out. But we're going to add a built-in add-on here. And you're going to see me just kind of click around till I can get free of that issue, which is the photo gallery. This is already installed in all of your versions, and we'll see that pull up on the left here. We'll go ahead and drag and drop our photo gallery into our list view and resize our list layout just a little bit so we see this a little better. And what's great about this, and it's going to be a little crude for us just getting this set up here, but we'll see this load, and we do also need to change this to just be in form view as well. So just some configuring here for our application. Specifically, we see a nice preset table that's installed, but we see in the top right a configure. This will vary on different add-ons that you'll find. In this case, just clicking a few fields that I know will be the right options. For this particular configurator, you need to specify a display layout that you actually want to show up when you click on a particular image, and then it's asking for a primary key as well as a photo field. You can, if you're on a server, just specify the photo field directly, but the contents of all of this are as different as any add-on, so I don't want to get lost too much in like this particular configuration. I am going to change this. I just use that one layout for managing all the fields to make that selection a little bit more straightforward, so that we could get our scale and additional selections made. Once we have those selections made, we're going to go ahead and click and refresh, and now we do see a face-first layout where our client can actually look through and then click and see the detail of all of those. Again, very crude implementation of being able to pull all these in, but as you can see, we switched our list view just by a few drags and drops, and we have a capability that is immediately added to our application. One thing, just having some fun along with this, there is another great add-on that is in the marketplace called FM Draw. Some of you may have already ran into this and installed it yourself. In this case, we're going to use it to edit some of our layouts here. So, whoops, some of our pictures. That is pasting for me. I'm not sure why. And I'm just going to navigate to a layout I've already created, and we're going to go ahead and just pull this out and see what our FM Draw tool looks like. So we see all the components to allow us to begin drawing show up. But what's nice, we see another configure button. You can see here the developers chose a different style for that, but we can pick our contact container photo, and then also you can pick an output container photo. In this case, we're just going to use the same one, and we'll hit set. So we'll see that come in for that one particular record. But let's navigate back to our list view that is now our face view. And we'll actually, this might be an answer to your question of at least combining the use of add-ons. We'll change this to use our new FM draw layout. And so every time I click on a particular image, now FM draw automatically shows up, and I can, of course, use it to start drawing mustaches on everyone in here and save that. And there's a little bit of refresh, but you'll see, pretty much immediately the mustaches start showing up. So perfectly, whatever color mustache you might want to give, it looks like, oh, I was holding the touchpad. That's a great fancy one, so we'll just keep it. So, and so on and so forth. Of course, your clients are probably not creating mustaches on people, but they're probably doing much more useful things, like marking up PDFs or maybe making images of some sort that require some customization. Go ahead.
So in the background, when you're relating to the records, are you using SQL to do that, or are you what is the join, or are you using FileMaker?
That's a great question. I have no clue. I didn't build this add-on, so that's kind of the beauty of these add-ons is like, to some extent, the question is like, what am I using for the configure drop-downs here to provide this list? And I don't know. I'm going to take a guess. I think they're using like get field names on a layout, and then they're kind of parsing through them based on the field type. So like here, we're just seeing the number fields. Here, we're seeing all of the fields that are on that particular layout, which is layout 262. So I didn't dive into this one specifically. Like I didn't have enough time to like spend a ton of time with each add-on to know exactly. But in this case, it sort of doesn't matter. Like as long as you can kind of get it to work, in that sense, that's kind of the beauty of add-ons is like we're leaning on the tools and software that have been provided by other developers, and we're able to leverage that for our own capability. Yeah, so there is with some tediousness, and it depends on how the developer has compiled everything. So hopefully they've used folders, so you can check out all of the scripts at least, and then you can dive in deeper into it. It just varies on complexity of like how far they get. Yeah, just depends. So. All right, so here we're going to move on to one of my favorite add-ons and one I've been working on over the last year or so, which is natural language search. For those of you who attended Claris Engage last year, you might remember Ronnie Rios's demo where he was introducing kind of semantic finds using natural language. He then provided that file for anybody to take, and the promise was, hey, you have to deliver this to the community as something they can use. And so we've done just that. We've turned that sample file that he created into an add-on that you can add into your file. This is, I would argue, the simplest way you can introduce yourself to AI. So if you're overwhelmed by all the capabilities and all the requirements of LLMs and just that whole new universe that's opened up to us with the new features that are coming, I would argue this is maybe the simplest implementation of it, because it does still rely on the way that FileMaker worked like 2-ish versions ago, in that it's not a semantic find, it is a lexical find, in that it's searching using FileMaker's existing search features, but it's just automating that search. So I'll stop explaining and start demoing by just dragging our little add-on onto our field or our layout here. We're going to click it. Immediately, we're going to see a prompt for configuration. There's no API key, so we need to put that in. So we'll get our key in, and at this point, we're good to go. We can basically run at this point. This is some configuration that we have added to it over the last few versions where you can actually specify the model. I thought it very necessary to add a pricing link so you can look at that, because depending on which model you use, you will spend a lot of money. But in our use of installing this with clients, like it's like maybe $5 a month if you are really pounding this thing. So depending on what model you choose, you can really get a lot of mileage out of this for not a lot of money. So we'll go ahead and close that. And now that we have this here, we'll go ahead and do our first example, which is not expanding for me. Sorry. Let me just quit that and go back in here. They said the demo gods would get me, and they did. So here we are. All right, so let's try that again. Example. Sorry about that. So I guess we'll just have to type it out manually. So we'll say accounts with a total invoice amount over, we'll say $23,000. And we'll do that find, and unfortunately, it's still not going to work. One thing about this particular implementation is that it does require some additional knowledge about this particular application. And in this case, I do actually need to jump to my expander here. Oh, there it is. Okay, so here, and I just need to grab this content here. And we've added additional configuration here to add custom prompts. So this whole add-on, it does have some prompt engineering there to basically train the LLM that it sends to OpenAI to say, like, what is FileMaker, how do finds work there, some basic limitations. But in addition, you may need to add some additional prompt engineering to basically explain the system that you're creating. The language models work with like really basically named things, that being like your table occurrences and your field names and whatnot. In this case, the table occurrences in FM starting point are different than the ones we've created. So we just create an example search here, and then also the correct response with the correct table name. So you can basically configure this for your particular example, and then once that's set up and configured for your specific file, then now we're actually seeing those results come through, and we have a list of accounts that have an invoice over 23,000, as we're seeing here, just kind of pinpointing those out. To get even further, here we did add another configuration here where you can actually search not just on that current layout that you have applied the instance of this add-on to, but it will search any layout that you've specified here. So again, using kind of basic naming conventions for your layouts. So if you do have like more complex TOG names and then layout names with those abbreviations, it may get a little hairy, but that's where you can train it with some prompt engineering just right here in the configuration settings. But here now we're able to do our second example and look for products purchased in 2002. We'll go ahead and do find, and then we see it's automatically brought us to our products layout, and we're able to pull up all those that have a date purchased in 2002. So with that, I mean, you have a natural language search in your application. It's not a semantic range, so it is still looking very particularly, for those of you familiar with find mode, if you don't type in the data exactly as it is, you're not going to find anything. That's still true here. A description field, that's great for semantic range. But in this case, this would not be. So So with that, that is all we have time for going through some in the marketplace. There are tons more, here to dive into. But in our time together, we spent first defining what an add-on is, what it specifically stands for. To some extent, it's the same question about like, how does it work? Like, I'm like, I don't care. I just care that it does work. And that's what, at the end of the day, our clients do matter. But it is important enough to get to the creating of it to know, what those things mean. And so walking through a demo of building the bug buster and seeing that implementation and application of that. And then lastly, exploring some of the community's best work, as well as an add-on we built out of the last Engage conference. So with that, just one last slide to point out, which is our resourcing slide. A lot of research went into making this session. So again, once you get the session materials, please check out all of these. These are all clickable, should be clickable links that you can click on to get to. I especially want to call out just the first column here and the third source here, creating from your existing file or feature. Justin goes through a great step-by-step process of actually like deconstructing a whole application that you have that has a component on it you want to break off, and all the steps you need to go through to do that today, rather than starting from scratch like we did. So with that, just want to say thank you all for attending, and thanks to all the people who kind of helped build this code. A lot of this code base that I shared today is from the community, and very much I kind of stand as a product of the community, having learned from some of the great trainers in our session. So thank you, and if you can, rate my session once you have time. So.
If you install a plugin, can you tweak it yourself? Is it a closed environment, or it's like open to be tweaked?
I don't think a plugin would be like formally.
Not plugin, sorry, an add-on.
An add-on, yeah. So you can certainly. So like once you install it into your solution, so the question is that if you install an add-on into your file, can you tweak it? So like we saw when we actually looked into the specific folder that was added when we added an add-on, you can, of the scripts, you can then go, tweak those scripts, you can edit them. It's all fully editable code that's just been injected into your file as if you created it yourself. So it's the same as like if you copied and pasted these components from one of your existing files, and then you go and edit it for that specific implementation. The only caution I would say with that is just if there's a new version of that add-on, then you're probably not going to be able to pull those features in just by uninstall and reinstall. You'll have to, install the add-on somewhere safe, copy the changes into your new solution. So it's kind of give and take. Yeah, go ahead.
Carry on to that too. Like I hear people, like we started looking at add-ons about a year ago, and gone through a lot of the discovery. It sounds like you have as well. I hear people like complain about the lack of an add-on like upgrade path, like or update path.
Yes.
Which I understand, especially if you have something in the marketplace, that makes a huge amount of sense. Mm-hmm. But in our case, if we have some developer write a clever piece of code for client A and we want to leverage it other places, like the current model is to, like you described, copy paste the code over.
Yeah.
Which also doesn't have an update path. So you're no worse off for having had it in an add-on.
Yeah.
So I feel like we kind of a lot of people miss the forest for the tree because they hung up on the fact that there's no update path. But once it's in the solution, it's just tables, fields, and scripts and custom functions. So if you know what you need to update, you can just update it everywhere it's deployed, which is what you'd be doing today anyways, but getting it deployed was way easy. So you're still ahead. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so just whether you're copying and pasting or using an add-on, you're kind of in the same boat in terms of when it comes time to update to a new version, you gotta have to go to each file and make those changes. The one difference is that, and it is also a risk in that in an add-on, you've compiled all this code, and when you've actually implemented it into that file, somehow FileMaker knows all of that is bundled together, and that's how you're able to uninstall it. So, I mean, intuitively, I'm thinking, well, there should be a way to just like overwrite the parts of it that you want to, and then not. So hopefully something like that will, kind of come come soon. Yeah. So I'm going to twist some arms. So if you have any ideas, anything that you're interested in, I would love to forward those along.
I was curious how like themed layout objects, if you have specific theme, styles, specific ways and stuff like that, if you build that into an add-on and that add-on, the file doesn't have the theme that you built with, things like that.
Yeah, great question. So the question is, what if you use a particular theme in your add-on and then that's not in the target file? The great thing is themes are one of the components that is supported in an add-on. So when you install that add-on, that theme automatically becomes part of that new file. So you'll be able to use that. The only trick is if you're then the object that you're dragging and dropping, the styling of it is whatever it was when you set up on that add-on. And so you're dragging and dropping it onto a layout that likely has the own custom theme that you built for that application. And so then there's just a custom CSS that is on that. So you'll have to, change, instead of having, red Spider-Man, maybe you need blue Spider-Man for the layouts you're implementing for a bug buster, for example. So that would be just a quick, style change in the inspector